Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Hello, you absolutely magnificent souls out there. It is so fabulous to have you with me. I know we've got people here from the US. Shout out to the US. We've got Germany. Shout out to Germany. We've even got Surrey, one of my favourite places in the world, got to say, and everywhere in between. So I'm just welcoming you all to this fantastic time to come together in a united community of like-minded individuals. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Claire Broad. Thank you so much for joining me here on my channel Together with Spirit. I've got back to doing the lives that I used to do a long time ago that were very popular, and I had to have a break. In fact, the pandemic did a lot of that. There's Jack Williams. Hi, Jack. Colvinda, hello. So giving you all a bit of a shout out for you lovely souls that have joined me live. It wouldn't be the same without you, would it? So I'm hoping you can see me well. Give me some thumbs up and hearts if you can see me well and you can hear me well, because I've got a lot to share and I want to dive in and make sure that I'm being received. Yeah, the hearts are coming in. Great. All right. So what's this? Louise Young. Hello, lovely Claire and everyone. Oh, you're very excited for this evening. Oh, bless you. Oh, look at all those hearts. I love it. Thank you so much. Right, let's dive in, shall we? Lots and lots to cover. Now, I've got technology on the go here. I've got a phone. I've got an iPad. I've got the laptop. I'm praying the internet stays connected. I've got lights all around me. I'm very technical in here, you know. So if I'm looking around, it's because I'm managing almost like a little homemade studio. The wonders of technology these days. Okay, hello, Monica. Right. So what I'm going to do today, because so many of you put questions to me, which is just so fantastic. I love that, because then I know I'm answering the things that are of interest to you. What I'm going to do is get through as many of the questions as I can. I've earmarked 15. I don't know if I'm going to get through all of that. Hopefully I can, but I promise I will hold on to any questions I don't get through. And then I will obviously readdress this down the line. But fingers crossed. There's Judy O. Hello. And Kaz. Oh, Peter. Hi, Peter. Hey, oh, you're working, but oh, bless you. He's working and he's still tuned in. That's dedication. Peter, the spirit world to be, giving you a big star for that. I know they will. Okay, so what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to, in amongst the questions, just to get us into the flavour of things and to deep dive, I'm going to share with you a ghost story. The reason I'm sharing this ghost story is because it's a jumping off point, really, and it will just, get us in the mood for spiritual things. There's nothing too silly, though, if you want to put a question to me. There is nothing too simple or too basic you can ask, or, may I say, too involved or too difficult. So I will go wherever you lead me, but also try and answer all these questions as well. Oh, Tiffany, how is your nanny who passed earlier this year? This is an important one. Well, I know your nanny as well. I haven't got a connection with her, obviously, at the moment, and I would never lie. But I can tell you now that our loved ones are well. We are eternal beings. And if you could only feel or remember the unconditional love that you came from, you would not be sorry for your nanny. You would be sorry for you because you've been separated from her. And obviously life in our world is pretty challenging at times, isn't it? So I understand that you probably miss her, but I'm telling you something, for those who move into the summerlands, as White Feather calls them, life is lovely. Making it into that light, as long as we focus on the love inside of us, which most of us do, all's well. Okay, so I'm saying hi to Mandy Warren, and Tiffany's given me a heart. Oh, bless her. Okay, so let's start with this then, because I want to keep the pace going. I don't want to be boring you. I appreciate that you're with me, and I want to make it as interesting as possible. I want to talk to you a little bit about the Tower of London, because last week I was saying about the fact that a ghost is different to a spirit, and that spirits have a soul. Spirit beings will interact with you. They have a consciousness. They are sentient beings, because the soul in the human body is sentient by nature, whereas a ghost is a recording in the atmosphere. Now, I found this true ghost story, and what I love about sharing things like from the Tower of London is, you know, it all has to be logged properly. Got the hearts coming up, you can go, and that's lovely. And so, you know, it's a kind of credible source. But this is a great story that shows a kind of balance of the two things that I was talking about with you last week. So we'll pick up there, and then we've got loads of things to cover from the spirit world and soul connections and everything from your questions. Okay, so okay, the Tower of London. I've got this from a source called hauntedrooms.co.uk, just to make sure that I'm obviously giving my sources and working professionally. So the Tower of London has sometimes been described as the most haunted building in Britain, and has been investigated by countless paranormal investigators and teams over the years. I bet it's great. I would love to go in there. Oh, to get, you know, exclusive use of a place like that would just be unbelievably electric, I would imagine, especially for me. Okay, so anyway, the Wakefield Tower is thought to be haunted by the ghost of Henry VI. And on the anniversary of his death, his sad figure is said to pace around Wakefield Tower until the clock strikes midnight. Now, the reason I'm sharing this is this, to me, as I look at this, automatically tells me this is likely to be a ghost and not a spirit being, and I'll explain why in a minute. Whereas in the White Tower, it's thought to be haunted by the White Lady, who has been seen waving at groups of school children. Her perfume is also believed to linger around the White Tower, and the scent has made numerous guards physically ill. God, that must be pungent. That's known as Claire Scent, S-C-E-N-T at the end, Claire Scent. And that is where the spirit world can bring literally an odour close to you, and your nervous system will pick that smell up because it's a heightened, sense that you have in your body, and you will pick that up easier than registering the full spirit being. So interesting. Now, this is why I'm sharing this, because the White Lady, as much as I can go off of this, haunting of this record of these hauntings, she is behaving in a sentient way. How do I know that? Because she is waving at groups of school children, which tells you what? It tells you that she knows that they're children, and she knows that they're there, and she's interacting with them. Great with the hearts. I can see you all. You're listening intently. It's lovely. And then, whereas the ghost of Henry VI, he is seen on the same day when the clock strikes midnight, which is the anniversary of his death. So this is a typical stone tape theory occurrence, because it happens at the same time once a year on the anniversary of his death. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't really want to be coming back every year on the anniversary of my death, when I've probably either incarnated into a different human body by then, or moved on to higher planes, hopefully, and into unconditional love. I'm not going to be setting the watch every year and think, oh, yep, this is the moment that I passed. Oh, quick, let's get back in there to the Tower of London and do a little, in case somebody at midnight might actually spot me. It's not going to happen, is it? Whereas the White Lady, she's obviously deliberately interacting with guards, waving at children. That could be spooky, couldn't it? But I mean, it sounds like it's quite a nice thing to do, really. So I don't know who she is. Wouldn't it be nice to know? That's another reason why it'd be good to go in there and do a vigil. But I wanted to give you two solid experiences of what hauntings in the Tower of London that will have been documented and taken very seriously. Now, that's not to say that other ghost sightings aren't taken seriously by me. They absolutely are. I know the spirit world is everywhere. But of course, when it comes to sharing knowledge with you, I try to only speak from my personal experience, because that's all I know for sure. And also, obviously, to give you credible sources. So So, because I know it's really important to be able to try and put your trust in a medium, and to know that I obviously am not just, getting carried away with my own fantasies, if you like, in my head of an afterlife in heaven. I'm telling you, it is real. So that's quite a statement to make. I try as best I can to be as honest and open about that, because I don't have all the answers. If I had all the answers, we would have it all sussed by now, and I don't think we ever will. And who wants it to be? Life is awesome. Life is interesting because we don't have all the answers. So, I like the fact that I don't know everything and I can't answer anything. And I love the fact that I keep learning and I keep finding out awesome information. And the most fascinating thing about the occult, which means hidden knowledge, okay, not dark magic. The most fascinating thing about esoteric knowledge, understanding, and the occult is it just keeps on giving. I've been doing this now 25 plus years. I've dedicated my life to being an expert in my field, and I am still learning. It's like layers of an onion. You peel back a layer and then you realize there's more and more. But then it makes sense to me, because if the universe is infinite, then we're going to just keep on discovering more and more. And as we know from science, from astrophysicists, at current counting, there are at least 2 trillion galaxies out there in our universe. As you look up at the sky, be in awe how tiny you are, and yet how magnificent you are, because you are here, sentient, alive on this planet. And there will be many, many other planets out there that can sustain life. They're not near us, it seems, but there are also other dimensions of life. There are other realms, is the word that we use in the spiritual terms. So we're not just talking about a universe that is 3D. We're talking about a universe that is multi-dimensional. And I want to get you excited about life, because you are it. And we can get stuck in the routine and stuck in the fact it's Sunday night. If you're in the UK, you've got Monday morning work, or they're with lovely Peter sitting at work watching this. We get into the routine, into the system, into paying bills, into the responsibility of life and looking after family. And we can take our eye off the ball, which is to understand your eternal nature and your eternal soul. And the minute you do that, we start to reduce down the experience of life. We become reductionists. We reduce down our magnificence. So there you are. It's me preaching on a Sunday. Right. Okay. Now I'm going to hop into your questions. Hope you found that interesting, everybody. Let me know in the comments. Let me know here on the live chat. I will, I'm doing this for you guys. I'm doing it to be connected with you all. You mean a lot to me. I get a lot out of it, but obviously this is a two-way thing. So I've got Anne-Marie saying hello. Hi, Anne-Marie. And Lucia Parkinson's, Ian and Annette Wilson. Oh, there's Giselle Hampton. I'm just saying hello, whilst I can look up at the comments. Okay, right. Let's dive into your questions. So I've got a lovely question here from Kate T. Cox. She's joined me. She's on Instagram with me. I don't know if she's here tonight, but hopefully she'll see this, whether it's on catch up or whether she's live with me. She's put a question to me that she would like answered, which is, she's saying that in my recent book, Heaven Sent, I mention that 3 is a magic number, that we are made up of physical and spiritual bodies, with the core being a soul. So yes, I do write that in chapter 1. You said that the soul can shed the physical and spiritual bodies and become eternal light. Once these bodies are shed, my question is, can the soul connect back to the same spiritual body? Isn't that amazing? What a lovely, lovely question. I love this. It's so great to be able to write a book and see, I locked myself away for a year, see people are reading it, and it's sparking their own thoughts and their own questions, and they're deep diving and they're expanding their own awareness and asking these great questions that are put to me and make me think. I thank you so much, every one of you who has dedicated time out of your precious life to read my books and to take it on board. Whether you resonate with it or not doesn't matter to me. The fact is, you've picked it up, you've been open-minded to read it and to learn and to question for yourself. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Okay, love 3 and any multiple of number. Yeah, me too, Maria. So the thing is, what I'm writing, what she's asking me here, I just love this question. It's true, just to give a bit of context here, that it appears to me through personal experience anyway, I know that when the physical body dies, the soul leaves the physical body, moving into the spiritual light body that is a mirror image of the physical body, and then going into what's known as the astral planes. From astra just means heavenly planes, heavenly realms. And there are many dimensions to these realms within the spirit world. It will move through these dimensions. You will still evolve in consciousness, because this is what we're all up to here. We are part of the same source intelligence, which is unconditional love. It's divine in nature. And as we ascend or make our way up in awareness through lots and lots of different experiences, either in a physical form or a spiritual form, we evolve. And then when we evolve, what are we doing? We are evolving the whole. That's how important you are. You are a divine, eternal being. Now, so when you leave your physical body, you may choose to stay in the astral body that you had that most closely resembled your earthly body. You can see lots of lovely questions coming in here. Now, it seems that we do that because it's most familiar to us. It's, we're still, if you like, thinking in the same way that we did when we were in that earthly incarnation. Now, there is trains of thoughts out there, and I was actually learning this yesterday, that the spirit or the soul, depending on how sort of evolved you are in your awareness, how much you are embodying purity within your soul and unconditional love, the soul ascends higher and higher, because that's to do with frequency. It's to do with bandwidth. And the higher the frequency and energy that you are reaching, the higher into unconditional love you reach. Now, there is something called the Hall of Osiris. This goes back to Hermetic teachings, the Hermetica. It's Egyptian. It's where the idea of Anubis came from, the psychopomp. A psychopomp is somebody who helps people cross over and move into the spirit realms. Anubis represented psychopomp. And he would obviously measure the heart of the person against a feather. Why? Because a feather is light. So the lighter you are, the higher the frequency, the more you ascend. I know they talked about it in terms of underworlds in Egyptian times, but the more you would ascend into divinity, into deity. It's why it's called the Devacanic planes in theosophy. I can never say it. Theosophy. The Devacana, diva, meaning God, deity, ascended being, enlightened one. So there are different dimensions within the spiritual realms, and we will make our way through them, and we will head back to pure unconditional love. In the meantime, we'll be passing through the Summerlands, and this is where we will meet with our loved ones, and we will enjoy time with our soul groups, and we will, reconnect with those that we love, and we will move together in those groups in that process of ascension, because the universe doesn't want us to be on our own. It wants us to understand that we are totally connected, that actually we're one. Okay, so as the physical body is dropped and we move into our spiritual body, we can hold on to that light form, or once we have evolved enough, we could choose to drop the spirit form too, because this is what people don't understand. I'm loving the hearts coming up. It's telling me you're following me. what people don't understand is that the realms of the spirit world, certainly the lower astral planes, and moving up into the summerlands, it goes in degrees. Like I said, it's a bandwidth. I'm trying to find the language to describe the ineffable, ultimately. Once we move high enough, we move up into the realms where the spirit body is no longer needed. We're no longer attached so much to our ego. We're not attached to our earthly incarnations, because we're understanding that the soul and the soul groups that we move with, that's the eternal connection, not the lifetimes that we've experienced in physical incarnations. So we will at some point likely just no longer feel that attached to our spiritual forms, and we will move into light being, into orbs, or the just beautiful love and light. So often when I see really highly evolved spiritual beings or the angelic realms, I'm seeing them as light beings, because they no longer are resonating or identifying with earthly lifetimes. That keeps us somewhat connected to earth, doesn't it? Because it means we're still very much identifying as earthly beings, whereas our soul is divine. I can't think of other words to use, so forgive me if I'm using religious words. Don't get caught up on that. It's the only thing I've got. I'm loving Maria saying, great book, profound and so informative, really well written. Oh, Maria, thank you so much. I can see Peter's put a question in there, and I can see Tiffany's answering as well. So, and I can see she's saying it's interesting. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to get through because we've got a lot of questions. Anyway, I hope I'm being really clear, because this is quite complicated what I'm trying to describe to you. And I understand for some of you, it'll be a little mind blowing, because we might only be thinking of heaven in terms of almost like fluffy clouds and pearly gates. And we've got to rethink how this all works. So should the soul no longer want to identify with any kind of, or any one particular incarnation, it will just exist in its light form, in pure love, in with the love and the frequency of those in the soul group around it, and it won't have a need to take on a form. I believe, and I feel like this is soul memory here, so I'm going to say that. I am asking my guides to make sure I'm giving you the right information, so if they want to interject, they can. But I believe that the soul, okay, I've got White Feather, he's just reaffirming me. Okay, so the soul can reincarnate back into any spiritual body form that it likes, in the spiritual sense of the word. Okay, not the physical word. Obviously, the physical body has died, it's gone into the ground, it may have been cremated, that's gone. But the spiritual energetic form, okay, White Feather's given me the understanding to just show me that as we think back and remember or resonate lower with that frequency, we can tune back into the memory or into, he's talking about it being data or information that forms the energy body in that way. And so the soul could choose to take on that form. He's also showing me it's what the guides do, because they are elevated. So he's just showing me himself in light form. This is coming straight from White Feather. He's showing me himself in light form. But of course, as he comes closer to the earthly realms, he takes on the human. Wow, I've never considered this before. He's literally telling me he takes on the human form of the Native American, because it allows him to get closer to our earthly connection. He has to remember that, and it brings his frequency in alignment with mine. That's a huge ask. That's a huge ask. How many of us are going to want to come out of the light and the love and resonate constantly in a lower form of body to serve? That's what the guides are doing. That is a huge ask. I'm sending my love to him and all the guides, because I'm realizing that they are really, in a sense, slowing down their ascent back to the light. Obviously, they can be in the light, but they're choosing to bring us with them. I think it's a little bit like Buddha said that, if he couldn't go with everybody, then why would he want to be on his own, in the realms of the blissful? He wanted to bring everyone with him. So I can kind of understand that. So Monica's saying we lose our personality when we drop our spiritual form. You can do. I'm so sorry. I think my phone just pinged in. I'm just going to turn this off. You can lose your spiritual form if you choose to. That's what I'm saying, Monica. lots of us keep it because we still resonate with it. But, you know, I would imagine if you got to 90 and your body had let you down, you probably wouldn't really identify with that person. You know, I don't know about you, but, you know, I'm going up in years. I'm embracing it, but I'm no longer 20 something. And yeah, but I feel like I'm 20 something, certainly feel like I'm 30 something. I would imagine that if I remember into this lifetime, I'm going to remember my version of me that's younger and healthier and vital. And so if you think about it in that way, it makes sense, doesn't it, why mediums often see people's loved ones much younger than they were when they crossed, because they're obviously holding that template of a spiritual body. Makes sense, right? Hopefully it does anyway. You all following me? Oh, okay. I can see Ros, Cindy, love saying, first time on, do I have spirits here? Do I have any spirits here for her? She's bereaved. Cindy, I'm so sorry that you are going through grief. There is nothing worse than the pain of loss and the void it leaves in your heart. The reason that I don't connect in with individual spirit beings on a live like this is because what I teach reaches everybody. When I do one reading, it takes up a big chunk of time, and it's only reaching one person. It's only important or resonant with one person. So I give information that's going to benefit everybody. I hope my words can give you some comfort at a time when you are going through such difficulty and suffering. Just bear with me one moment. I just got to get tissue. I'm fine. I feel sad for people when I see their suffering. I've been through a lot of it myself this year, and I don't want to know people, you know, of course I want to know. I don't like to think people are suffering with grief, pain, hurt. I get it. That soul pull that happens, that unplugging, that sense of loss, it's all coming from the fact that our mind cuts us off from our soul. It literally, the mind says, I've lost something that's a part of me, because it feels the disconnect of the energy between loving soul bonds and soul connections, and you believe that you have lost something. That comes from the misunderstanding or the not disbelief that your loved ones have gone on. If you really truly understand that your loved ones are with you, they're all around you, you cannot lose a soul bond. It is an eternal connection where there is true unconditional love, not controlling love or fear. Then that being, that soul, that energy is with you always. So you need to go in the heart. You need to start there. You need to feel the presence of your loved one at the soul level, because that is where the true connection always has been. Love that you shared was never a physical thing ever. It was always an energetic exchange, and energy never dies. So you can learn to meditate, to go within. I'm not saying you have a conversation. I understand the hugs aren't there, the voice isn't there, the advice isn't there. You know, we miss our loved ones. We must honor our grief. Our grief is our love that has gone. We don't know where to put our love. We don't know where to put our love. The person that we used to show it to, express it to, demonstrate it with, that connection we feel has gone. And here's the thing, the connection, the word connection is the key thing here, because the soul strives for connection. The soul wants to feel unity with the divine, unconditional source love that it is. And your loved one gave you a slight flavor of that, and you feel that you've lost it. You haven't lost it. Okay. I can see lots of you that are coming in here that have had bereavements. My heart is going out to all of you. This is why I do this work. It's why I do these lives. It's why I've dedicated my pathway to working with the spirit world, to try and help as many of you as possible. And look what the loss of your loved one has done. It's taken you into your soul. It's making you seek knowledge that is beyond this world. It's making you seek the truth, is what it's doing. You are becoming soul aware. They are bringing your loves in your life that you feel you've lost, are bringing you closer to them. They're making you reach within and take on board a bigger knowledge, wider knowledge, the soul perspective, okay? The soul perspective. Okay, right, now Kate, she just also asked at the end of this, bearing in mind that numbers are important, do I believe that numerology has a part to play in explaining our life purpose? I believe that numbers are hugely important. I talk about us being a tripart being. What that means is that we have a physical body, we have a spiritual body, but we are a soul, the Trinity, physical, spiritual, soul. The soul is your essence, your divine spark, your eternal consciousness. The spirit body is a form, the physical body is a form. But without the three, we're not whole when we're in this physical world. Of course, once we move into a place where there is two, we move into the realms of duality, and then we move into unity consciousness. So I believe when you look at the universe and you look at geometry, you can see that the universe is solely made up of numbers. And so therefore, numerology is an ancient art of understanding numbers. Numbers hold frequencies. We know that, don't we? When we measure frequency by number, it's all, and each soul has its coding. It has its own soul barcode, if you like. Each soul, as part of the source, has its own frequency. It births out from source, it divides into two in order to take any form at all, but the same soul frequency exists. This is known as a twin soul, and in rare occasions the twin souls will meet in the physical form, and the soul will unite and feel its unity with source again. Okay, that's the idea of the twin soul. So I've got to get this knowledge out there. There is so much crap right now out there about the twin soul connection. I don't know if anyone's been watching that Netflix series. Oh, I haven't seen it. I know about these two, and let me tell you, I've got a whole load of information I want to put out there to try and correct the desecration that is happening to something as sacred and divine as your eternal soul birthing from unconditional love. It's got nothing to do with anything earthly. Oh, there's so many questions, and you guys are amazing. You are amazing. I will make sure if I don't get back to them, I will read them all. I will make notes of them all, and I will address them all, okay, going forward. So stay with me, subscribe and like to my channel, guys. It's the only way that algorithms are going to know that you're interested, and especially as you're commenting, make sure you like my videos. Unfortunately, it's the way of the world now. I have to ask, otherwise the computers will just say, no, you're not interested, and not show you. Right, let's move on to the next question. Okay, so, this is a very deep question from Louise Young Health. And this is again on Instagram. She's saying, can I ask about clearing ancestral karma, which I'm doing? Is it a soul choice? Why do we do it? Why is it so tiring? Any other info on it, please? Fantastic. My goodness, honestly, I could dedicate whole programs to this just in itself. So the soul then, as it births from unity consciousness, source, singularity. I'm trying to find all the different types of words that might resonate with you, okay? Singularity, the all that is. As it births from that universal consciousness, some people may even prefer the word God. God to me means goodness, that's pure, absolute divine love. Okay, as the soul births out from that, it separates, like I said, into twin soul, and then the soul then separates out on a trajectory. It's kind of coming down, if you like, through the frequencies, so that it can experience every type of reality there is. Because if it doesn't do that, it doesn't know itself as pure, unconditional, divine source love. It wouldn't have anything to relate to. So everything needs to be in relationship to something. So that's why we move from a point of singularity into duality. The trick is to understand that you are unified with everything all the time. So that is ascension, when you really are living as one with everything, even in the realms of duality. So the soul has to go out into duality. And, oh, sorry, I'm just swallowing down the wrong hole. Oh, let's just have a little sip. Cheers. As the soul goes and incarnates into physical lifetimes, because one of the great abilities of the human soul is to be able to incarnate into physical worlds, we then go through all sorts of experiences. Our soul acts like a data field. It is collecting all those experiences, almost like a field of Akashic record in itself. Everything is being recorded in there as data, because the universe is data, it's information, it's consciousness, okay? It's light, the photons somehow are able to carry data, and we can break even down the realms of the spirit world scientifically. I have no doubt whatsoever that this is all scientifically real. It's just it's too big for us to really grasp. So we go through lifetimes, and with all those experiences, we are incarnating with soul group and with earth family. So we have soul family members and earth family members, and within our soul family and in the soul group, we will have souls that are polarity to us. So we will have souls that are in our lives that trigger the hell out of us, because if we didn't have the opposing force, we wouldn't learn the differences between love, hate, and all of the gamut in between that we experience in an earthly lifetime. Now, what happens is, you know, the soul wants you to realize your divine nature. But many of us, we have to fall into amnesia in order to come into these lower planes. Like I already explained, we are letting go of the identity. Imagine if you came into lifetimes and you remembered everything else, you'd be a mess. So the brain just filters everything out. It's just the most perfection in the planet. And then we'll have lifetimes. Now, if we perpetrate hurt, or if we, through not necessarily meaning to, but just through cultural misunderstandings or not understanding, and not having soul awareness, or being very much in the material, lost in the material, worldly wants of, you know, wealth and material things that are all temporary, and we can sometimes commit atrocities. We develop, if you like, karma. Now, what happens is some of us, and this is where I think Kat's going. Oh, sorry, it was Louise Young. Sorry. What some of us, as we choose to come into a lifetime, we may choose to come in deliberately where our ancestors had done something, if you like, could be heinous, or it might just be painful, and then we embody into the family line along the way, with the intention that we will try to help clear that pain so that other souls don't have to go through it. The reason we may do this is because obviously somebody can, you know, as a soul, you can incarnate, you can have that experience, you can learn a lesson, you can try and evolve that lineage, that timeline, that the things that are handed down through the generations, but also you're learning at the same time. So that's why we choose to do it, because there is massive gain to be had out of that for the soul and for the soul group, and for the experience of all souls involved. It, you know, life. No one said that the soul wasn't going to be endure a painful experience. We do endure pain. The minute we fall away from perfection, we are falling in soul down towards frequencies where we will embody and have painful experiences. The dark and the light exists together. You can't have one without the other. You can't have up without down. You can't have left without right. That is what allows us to have free will. That is what allows us to be creative. That is what allows us to experience all manner of experiences. It just comes with the territory. It's what life is. It's the joy of being life itself. Everything has to exist. Otherwise, there would be nothingness and literally no thing. So it comes with it. So that's why we do it. We believe that we are going to be able to, or we like, as a soul, the opportunity to come into a lifetime where there may be some pain along the way, been had and handed down. We may realize from the experience that we would like to have a stab at converting that, at least having a chip away at evolving consciousness down that ancestral line, so that we can heal the ancestral links and raise consciousness on the planet. And if you look at history, it is happening. We are having a shift. We are on the great shift of consciousness, and humanity is on a precipice right now. We really have to take what I'm saying seriously on a large scale, because otherwise humanity could go the other way, move into the darker, more painful realities of, greed, want, physical pleasures, looking for dopamine rushes the whole time, whatever you want to look, and then, suffering comes with that. There's no unity, there's no love in all of that. I'm just checking your comments here. I've recently been listening to Betty Kovac. This is Yuki. I'm so sorry if I'm saying this wrong. And she says it really resonated with her. I was wondering if you've ever come across her work and what you think. I've been reading and listening. Do you know, to lots of different people, and they all talk about the same thing, but in different words. I don't know that lady, Betty Kovac. I've heard of her, but I haven't read her work. But here's the thing. We will all be, there's nothing new under the sun, right? We will all be talking in our own language the same truth. Truth is a truth. It's like the Quakers say, one mountain, many paths. We can find our way back to unconditional source love any which way we want to go. And so where we're at in our level of consciousness or soul understanding or soul awareness, we'll find the teachers that can speak our language. So when it resonates with us energetically, we can take it on board. Now, if you're anything like me, simple is good. It doesn't have to be highfalutin and really difficult and something that, somebody with many degrees has put together, almost like some kind of dissertation. I like to have the knowledge shared in simple terms so I can embody it. Because the thing about spiritual practice and spiritual understanding is you are it. So you need to be able to understand how to embody it in everyday life. And it needs to be practical. It needs to be able to be put into your life. If you can't understand how to do that, then what's the point? It needs to be something that you can access and realize you are. That's why I don't ever put myself up there as having a gift or being different from anybody else, because you are an eternal soul. All the knowledge is within you. Any teacher is just leading you back to yourself, where you will access the knowledge within you and remember it, because we're all from the same place. We're all one. Okay. Okay, next question. Lovely Jack, who's put so many questions to me. Jack, I'm really hoping I can get through your questions. They are fantastic, and I'm looking at the time. We are racing through. I hardly got through them. Okay, I always trust, whatever comes out of my mouth in this evening is meant to, and I promise I will address things. I just hope you stick with me, guys. Okay, so Jack said, can I further elaborate about our contracts, soul contracts he's talking about, that we create with other souls before we incarnate? When we live our lives and pass over, I'm assuming we are then made fully aware of it all. Okay, so soul contracts. It sounds very legal. It sounds very serious. Contract to me sounds like something binding that I can't get out of. It sounds very controlling, and I feel very sort of, locked in. And the soul is pure freedom. So a soul contract, I want you to understand, is not like a legal contract. A soul contract is where two souls resonating a particular energy can learn from one another, and they kind of get, if you want, attuned to one another so that they can learn from each other these lessons that they are signing up for or choosing. Now, I don't know if the choosing necessarily comes, if you like, from the mental side of things, as like, I want to do this. I believe it can, but I believe for some souls who have reached a level of ascension, yes, it definitely is that. But I think maybe for others, or maybe for all souls, but just in certain areas where we lacking information, it may be more of a fundamental being drawn to an energy that creates the circumstances we need. Hope that's making sense. So a contract is an energetic bond. It's a soul assignment. I'd rather call it a soul assignment. And so we have soul connections with souls that help us to learn or to experience what it is that we feel we need to master still within ourselves. Every soul Every soul is a reflection of you, and they are in their own way leading you back to yourself. And so you are learning that you are them. It's the living in the contradiction. It's a paradox. It's all about you, and it's nothing about you. Because when you understand that they're leading you back to you, and then you discover your divinity and your unconditional loving nature and unity with everybody else, you realize it's always been about the collective. But in order to be about the collective, we experience individuality. It is a divine symphony, a divine symphony. Okay, so, in that sense of the words, Jack, if you think about it, we're making bonds with ourselves. We're making contracts with ourselves in expressions of other souls around us. So any of your contracts doesn't have to be with a soul connection. It could be that you come in because you want to give your life in service. It could be that you come in because you want to experience a particular experience. Could be fame, could be poverty, could be illness, could be everything in between. You are choosing the circumstances that are going to be best placed to lead you back to wholeness within, unity, love. And that can happen at any time. You don't have to be back in the higher realms of the spirit world to do that. With the masters, they get it here, don't they? If you think of the likes of Jesus or Buddha, or they embody it here. Heaven is a state within you. So when we live our lives and pass over, I'm assuming we are made fully aware of them. You remember. Your soul is your eternal consciousness. It falls into amnesia because the brain simply cannot be bombarded by everything that you would be holding. So the body is shutting you off, taking you away from your soul understanding. As you ascend into universal consciousness, into the light, when you pass over, yes, it will make sense to you as to what you've achieved. Okay, but there's no pressure here. There's no passing an exam. There's no needing to. If you don't do that, if you choose to change your mind when you're here, no one's going to be, saying you failed. This is your own journey, and every experience that every soul experiences from other souls is valuable. Nothing is lost. Okay, Jack, hope that helps. Okay, so he's also asking me, so Jack, this is a great question. Do I have any indications on how many times the average human incarnates, assuming it depends on the soul journey? Do you know if we have incarnated as other beings, as in animals, before incarnating as humans? And have you been made aware of any other beings from other planets that we have incarnated as or will in the future? I think you touched upon this in Heaven Sent. I may well have done, Jack, because I love to deep dive. Once you have been in touch with the spiritual realms, you start off thinking, oh, it's just, we move into the spirit realms and our loved ones live on and it's all nice and neat and simple as, and then you realize, no, it isn't. And there are a myriad of dimensions and infinite intelligence and many spiritual beings, of which we are just a tiny part of. So I'm going to take this. People incarnate hundreds and hundreds of times. Now, obviously, it's up to us how many we do. And also, I think I love in A Course of Miracles, it talks about that I think it calls it what's the word in America when they have not a criteria. Oh, the word's not coming to me, but basically the program is set. Just how long you take to do the program is up to you. So in other words, the process of life is a set law. How long you take is entirely up to you. How long you want to experience things, if you want to divert, if you want to go and do something else, if you want to re-experience something, ultimately you're going to go back to unconditional love. That is a given, but there is no law on how you do that. So some people I see when I'm doing soul guidance readings, I can be made aware by the spirit guides that people have had hundreds and hundreds of lifetimes. They tend to be very highly evolved in earthly consciousness terms by then, and I'm noticing what they may be called something like an old soul. They've got an innate wisdom within them because they've done this earthly incarnation now through so many timelines. And here's another thing, just to drop this in for your minds to be kind of blown on. When I'm doing soul guidance readings, I'm understanding now that life is just one linear experience. It's not linear as in time, because time is all happening at once. Again, it's the paradox, it's the contradiction. But you can, what I see with people's, if you want, past lives, and I think it's all just one life, but different experiences in different times in history, is that we pick up from where we left off. So I can quite often see two souls come together in soul connection, for instance. This is an example. They have a loving soul bond, whether that's karmic, whether that's life partner, whether that's romantic soulmate, whether they're twin souls, whether it's, you know, earth family soul, whichever way that unique soul connection happens for them. They're entering into a lifetime. They have an experience. A storyline plays out around them. Now, say one passes early or, you know, before their time, and the other one's bereft. What I quite often see is that soul connection will be picked up at another point in time. And it's so interesting. The two will meet around the time that the one passed early. And it's like they just literally pick up from where they went off. And then they're carrying on in a different life almost, because we're at a different time in the Earth's evolution. So society and everything is completely different. The experience is completely different. And yet their storyline continues and plays on. It's the most fascinating thing to see play out. And I'm able to help guide people. This is why you came into this lifetime. These are why you're experiencing painful connections. This is why you've had painful losses, because it might well be that in this lifetime you're experiencing the pain of loss that in a previous lifetime the other person experienced losing you. And so you've done an opposite, so you can see things from both sides, and you're healing each other as you move through these soul connections. Painful soul connections where there's been love are just as hugely important as the harmonious soul connections. Okay, love that Monica's saying amazing. Catherine's saying, do I mean curriculum? I think I do, actually. I think I do, Catherine. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, try and think about past lives, future lives, and everything. They're all happening at once, really, because there is no such thing as past, present, and future. It is all unfolding now, and you're just, you know, it's almost like you're doing a bit of your storyline in Roman times, a bit of your storyline in, you know, like our times, a bit of your storyline down the line when we're all in, you know, spaceships hovering, flying around, a bit of the time down there when we all go back to almost like living in the earth. On the earth in very, very natural ways with technology that takes us back almost to earth dwellers, tree dwellers, all that kind of thing. It's all going on at once, in a sense, because that's one storyline playing out with so many different souls, and we are gaining so much because, of course, when the soul leaves the human body in the spirit form and goes into the spirit world, it's now existing in the realms of no time, the eternal. So those lifetimes are being experienced in earthly timeline, in material timeline, but we can have gaps in between, because when we're in the spirit realms, we're in the realms of no time. Are you mind blown from me tonight yet? I am. This is all coming in. I know I'm being inspired by the guides, because I don't think of this stuff before we start, but I'm answering your questions. It's your guys. It's your fault. You got me deep diving. Okay. Monica's asking, hello, Claire. Looking forward to seeing you tonight. I was wondering, when you reincarnate, can you do it in a past era? I think I may have just answered your question. Yes, you can. And why do you do that? Because imagine if you incarnated kind of in the times of, I don't know, Sumeria, and then you incarnated into the times of Egypt, and then you incarnated into the times of Greece, and then you incarnated into the times of Germany, and then you incarnated into the times of, I don't know, China or America or now or the future. Even if you incarnated, say, in the UK every single lifetime, your experience would be different. because of the time and the level of consciousness being exhibited in the world at that time. And your brain would be programmed in that way. So to those times, so your soul experience would be reflective of those times, and you could never get bored. Life is so beautiful, everybody. Life is so beautiful. Why do we sweat the small stuff, eh? Okay, so do loved ones take time to readjust on the other side? She's also asking, can they experience sadness or pain if they look at us suffering down here? Many thanks. By the way, I look amazing. You are so sweet. Thank you so much. Okay, so loved ones do take time to readjust in the spirit world, not because they take time. We experience it as them taking time, but they take, if you want, time in our earthly years, because they are moving into the spirit dimensions, back into the light, into the higher realms, into the love, and they are settling in there. They are rejuvenating. They are plugging back in. They are recharging. Imagine like when you put your phone in at night and you recharge up with source power. They're doing that before they, the soul takes another bashing coming into the physical form. Life here ain't easy. You are warriors, you lot, all of you coming into the physical world. Warriors signing up for pain and suffering and everything that comes with it, as well as all the fantastic stuff. And the more we can sit in the spiritual self, the more we can understand our soul nature, the less suffering we're going to have. We are going to have physical pain. We are going to age. We are going to move out of this physical body. But we can definitely reduce as much of that suffering as possible when we live from the soul awareness, from the soul perspective. Okay. So, yes, our loved ones do take time to readjust. They don't experience sadness and pain to the same way that we do. They feel our loss. They experience our pain. So in that sense, they can. They can't experience pain of a physical form because they're no longer in the physical body, which is the part of us that experiences pain because of all the nerves and the nervous system that we need in order for this biological machine to even function and send data to and from its computer brain, the heart, magnetic field, and the soul field around us. And that's why we experience pain. They're in the light body, and the data is traveling through light. It doesn't need the nerves in the same way. So the spirit body can still get damaged, by the way, for sure. Even the soul takes a bashing. We have to look after our spiritual health. It's why Giles Whitner and I work in the field of spiritual crisis, because we're trying to work as a healing team to help people in spiritual crisis, to help cleanse the soul field, the spiritual body, so the human body can be in its best, in its best state, as long as you've looked after it physically and mentally. We're trying to help people look after the spiritual, a bit of an MOT. So yes. So they don't feel pain in that way, but they feel our suffering here, for sure they do. And that's why many of them come back, because they're trying to say, we are well, we're fine. You've forgotten who you are. You've forgotten that we're here. We love you. You can't lose us. We will walk together again. In fact, we're still walking together. We're now parallel journeying, you on the earth, me in spirit. We're learning from each other because we're learning from the feeling of separation. Even though we are never separated at the soul, we are always united by earth, by soul love, and that unconditional connection. It's energetic. So both of you are learning. They miss us, but don't forget, they still see us in the spiritual dimensions. They're in a realm without time. So missing is a bit funny because they've got to experience time, but they do miss us, the fact that our soul is mostly in the physical world for a bit, but at night time we're obviously in the astral planes, the lower astral planes. We don't leave our body very far. So we're in the astral plane so we can recharge a bit, but we don't go right up into the summer lands because we wouldn't come back again. So they would have to come down and visit us. But it's easier for them to visit us in those lower astral planes than it is for us in a physical body to recognize them in our daily lives. Not impossible, because otherwise mediumship wouldn't be possible. And I obviously sense and feel and perceive the spirit world around me very well. And the more I'm in tune to people like White Feather, my spirit guide, between he and I now, after so many years of working to refine that attunement, I can hear him real easy, just like how I demonstrated earlier. I don't need to go into a trance state. I'm literally able to perceive what he's showing and telling me, and I'm passing it on to you. Now, lovely, I need to answer this question. Lovely, I've got Tulum Boredom there, 5242, saying, will my ex come back to me, please? I want to answer this question. The reason that from the soul perspective, okay, nobody can promise anybody that their ex is going to come back to them. Why? Because we have free will, all of us. None of us want to feel that we are being controlled so much that we don't have the choice to be with the souls that we choose to be with. And love, real love, not controlling love, that's fear. Unconditional love says, if you're not with me right now, it's because you need to evolve. You need time to experience perhaps other connections, to do other things in life so that your soul can mature. That person, that soul loves you. They wouldn't have been gravitating towards you had there not been love shared. I mean, sometimes souls gravitate together because they're sharing energy in a toxic manner, which is low frequency, and they get caught up in the drama and they can get locked in energetically to unhealthy things such as fear. That happens, that's a real thing. But most of us, when we fall in love, there has to be some kind of love involved. When we want to attract a soul back to us, you know, we don't do love spells. We don't put our control on that person. I need you, need control. That's not love. We work on ourselves. Why do we do that? We work to become love within ourselves. That way, not only do we learn to love ourselves unconditionally, because that person who's left our life has shown us that we don't love ourselves enough. Otherwise, you wouldn't be separated, because all souls are heading back to unity. You are being shown that you need to come into wholeness within. When you can understand that you are the love you seek, it only ever gets experienced from inside of you, and you embody it anyway, you become like a magnet. Not only to your ex, but to those who can vibe and, you know, resonate with you, and you can experience loving connection anyway. So when you understand that, love no longer becomes so painful. I'm not saying it's not going to be painful, because in the physical world we get separated and that never feels good, does it? Obviously, which is why you're asking if your ex will come back. But I would be totally irresponsible if I told you your ex was coming back. And don't ever ask a psychic to tell you that. Only your soul knows this. It's part of your soul pathway for being here. And if your ex isn't with you at this moment, it's because they're not supposed to be. You are supposed to be without them right now, because their distance and their separation is showing you something you haven't yet mastered within yourself. If you were with them, there would be more pain, there would be more suffering. And so it's much better that we go within and we learn to find everything we need from within. Then the soul resonance changes, and that's when I see souls magnetizing people back to them. Specifically, if there is a karmic connection involved and that hasn't been fully worked through, souls might magnetize back to each other again for a second go around them, you know, and trying again. Like I said, in past lives, we work through our karmic past and our karmic partners. So in a sense, I can say for sure that that ex will be back to you at some point, just maybe not in this lifetime, because clearly you've got unfinished business. Unless, of course, you master soul awareness, unconditional love, and realize you are all the love you will ever need. And as you emanate that from within, as you become that love, I can tell you, you will attract so many people to you in your life that you will realize it's never about one, never about the one, and everything to do with the whole. But most of us don't want to hear that. We're very much programmed into our earthly lives. We want to experience the romantic soulmate or the life partner connection. You know, everyone's hunting for their twin soul right now. Big mistake. That shows you don't understand at all what you're asking for. Romantic soulmates, life partners are wonderful connections. So are catalysts, and so are karmic partners. Once they come into your life, because each is there with its unique quality to it that is raising you up. All soul connections are equal because everything is leading you back to yourself, to wholeness, and to unconditional. And I'm telling you, when you cross over into the spirit realms and you make it up higher in the higher astral planes and you get into the summer lands and you reach that unconditional love, as you hear near-death experiences say when they enter into the light and they feel the unconditional love, you don't want to return. You're not thinking about being with one soul. You're happy in the light and the oneness with everything. It's here that we feel cut off. I hope my words are in some way helpful or healing or triggering even, so that you are thinking about it more deeply from a soul perspective, because otherwise you will just repeat these hurts and these separations. Okay, until the lessons are, or the experience has stood what it was here to do, served its purpose. Okay, we are 8:05. I still obviously have lots of questions here, and I'm very, very, very well aware that I have one person's question that I do want to try and tackle here, and then I think I'm going to have to admit defeat and put in another date for a live, because I know that Vic also has sent me a message. I haven't forgotten Vic's message. I've also got Annette Wilson's message, which is fabulous, and I'm going to read out Annette's here, and I will make this the last one, guys. I hope you're enjoying it. Please, like I said, just keep leaving questions and chat in the comments or in the chat. I will read it all. I promise I will respond, and I will make other videos to help you, okay? And I really appreciate you dedicating your time to coming here and joining me. Your time is your life. Your life is precious. I get it. Okay, so so Annette said she had a question for my next live feed. So I just want to reward the fact that Annette was with me last week, and she's asked this. She's saying, where did our soul originate from? As they are eternal, how did they start being a soul? If our soul chooses not to reincarnate, then our new soul's born. Fascinating. And there is more here. She talks about suicide, but I'm going to, I don't use the word suicide, because I rather use the term the souls that choose to take their own life, because I know the word suicide is painful for a lot of people who have lost loved ones in that way. So I just want to bring that awareness to you. But I am going to answer this part of the question because it ties in lovely with what we've covered today. And Jack, I haven't forgotten, you've asked me about soulmate connections and about, you know, when people separate, can soulmates and life partners separate? I'm going to have to do another video. I hope you'll stay with me, all of you, because I've got so much knowledge to share and videos to make. But the soul originates from source. So I'm going to finish on this because it ties in so well with what we've talked about tonight. We have our source energy. You remember I said the all that is, what some people would term as God. In, you know, Asian traditions, it was called the Tao, because the Tao has no meaning. It means the ineffable, the stuff from which we came from. In science, it would be called the singularity, that point from which everything comes out of. So there is the ineffable. I can't actually label it, because just to put a word on this is to contain it, is to reduce it. And we're talking about the stuff from which everything comes from. You cannot put a name on it. Okay, so that's why I don't like the word God. Don't like any of these words, because they are to reduce the irreducible. Okay, but there it is, energy, it is source, it is the power from which everything comes from. The soul is a spark of that. It is the a unique imprint of that with its own frequency and resonance, as I talked earlier. Now, Whitefeather told me that when the soul birthed, well, he told me that when my soul birthed in twin flame connection with Giles, as we came through into this, he talked about this universe from an older universe. He said that we came through a funnel, that we were funneled in, that light and that consciousness funneled into this universe, and then we went through time and space, traveling as completely separate individuals, gaining information for the one soul collective. Mind-boggling, isn't it? But that we were from white, the fiery white core is what he called it. I can only pass on to you what I'm being given. Don't forget, we're given this stuff in symbolism and story form because the brain cannot really handle the full truth of it. I mean, scientists can't yet explain what consciousness is. It's known as the hard problem. So describing soul in anything that is going to be beyond our own capacity to hold will just be impossible. So the guides use terms that they believe that we can try to digest. Please remember that your mind will never understand. It's not about the mind. The mind is very limiting. It's only a small part of our intelligence. You have to understand this here and here. You have to go into your being and resonate with the truth and feel the truth in the energy from which I'm giving you this teaching. So Whitefeather said that there was a birthing of the soul, if you like, from singularity into polarity. In other words, is what he's saying. And the yin-yang polar parts of the soul forms. This applies to us all. And we journey out in those polarities across time and space, having innumerate experiences so that we are contributing back to the whole of consciousness and evolving the universe and evolving the all that is. I like that term because it kind of sums it up. That's the best I can do on telling you where your soul originates. And as they are eternal, how did they start being a soul? It's like what came first, the chicken or the egg, isn't it? I don't know. I believe that one can't exist without the other. It's like you can't have unity without polarity. So it's almost like it all just is. It all just bursts into being. A bit like the scientists say there are a number of scrunches and bangs, as there are many universes, not just one. So we talk about the Big Bang being the beginning of the universe. It's not. And scientists and astroscientists and physicists, and they'll all argue in this point. They know that there were a number of scrunches and bangs, and probably a number of dimensions. And the mind just wants to boggle. I know that physicists who reach out to me after reading my books, and they do that because true scientists do, by the way. They understand they don't understand it all. They talk about it being a holographic universe and there being multi-dimensions, and we can really go down the rabbit hole with all of this. So I'm trying to keep it simple for you guys and not lose you. Otherwise you won't want to come back because it'll be just a headache listening to me talk. Okay, so if our soul chooses not to reincarnate, then are new souls born? New souls, old souls, we are timeless. We come from the realms of the absolute. Therefore, we are beyond space and time. So new soul, old soul isn't really a thing. Like I said at the beginning, it's more about how we recycle all of that, how long we take to evolve in consciousness, how the journey takes. And also, if we're all doing this at different time frames in different spaces of time, then in one lifetime someone could seem evolved and someone could seem like a new soul, and in another lifetime it could be completely flipped, because this is where reality is just a mind bender. So the reason why I'm saying this to you is, yes, I do experience new souls, old souls, and all of that. But I'm reticent to identify with that too much, because it's almost egoic, in as much as it's like a measurement of somebody's achievements and success. And that's not what it's about. It's not, because just to be life is the most incredible success and achievement there could be. So, it doesn't really matter if someone's an old soul or a new soul. The reason that mediums use terms like that is because they're at the point of time that they're doing the reading, they're seeing you know, the maturity, the soul wisdom, the how far that soul has come in ascension. So I suppose, you know, again, paradox, living in the contradiction. Yes, some souls are more enlightened, they going back up towards the light and reaching unity consciousness. Others aren't. I suppose you could call that immature and mature souls. But ultimately, we're all one, right? We're all one. So some are giving others the experience of ascension, even, because otherwise, if they weren't down here, we'd have nothing to measure against. I mean, you know, so let's not fall into the trap of judging any other souls. You have not walked in their shoes. You do not know how old they are. We are infinite, indestructible beings. We are eternals. We are in a physical form. You cannot die. You cannot lose those that you love. You only depart for a while from each other, and in the separation you really start to learn what unconditional love is, don't you? Because the trappings of your earthly lives, the ego, the frustrations, none of it makes any, it doesn't matter to you anymore. All that matters is, does that person love me? Are they well? Have they reached into the light? Are they at peace? I love them. Do they know how much I love them? And they will feel that energy. And when you resonate that love, it will go to them like a text message through the ether, through the light, through the data field, into the soul connection that you have. And you will reach them, and they can reach you when you open your mind and your heart and you resonate high enough. I want to leave you on this upbeat, inspirational thought. I can see Maria saying my knowledge is awe-inspiring. Oh, bless you. Mandy Warren, thank you so much for being with me. She's saying mind blown. People are saying thank you, Claire. Mind blowing, says Monica. The quantum universe, says Patricia. Yes, exactly, Patricia. And Catherine saying she's totally enjoying this evening. Thank you for my energy. Maria saying thank you, Claire. Wonderful chat. I'm reading you. I'm seeing your hearts. Give me hearts. You are so fantastic, all of you. Thank you for being with me. I just do think enough's enough in one program. The joy of this is it's all recorded. You can go back and watch it as much as you like. I will put it in the playlist. It will be in the lives section on Together with Spirit on my YouTube channel. I will put out more dates for another live. In the meantime, remember, you are magnificent. You are eternal. Get in touch with your soul and understand that life is there to be lived and enjoyed, even through the painful times. I've got the Trevor Osborne saying, loved the book. Oh, bless you. Thank you. Thank you, Kelvinder. I can see you there. Carol Peake, loving the deep dives. Yay. Tiffany, thank you. Judy O, thank you, Claire. I'm thanking you all so much. Mwah! Big kiss. Bye for now.